Oh.
I was like, I swear I turned the lights on. It's not dark anymore.
Hello, everybody.
Howdy, y'all.
Hey guys, and I hope my internet service holds up. Yeah, well, yeah. Even fiber can have its days, right?
I am updating my Plex server on my Synology NAS. It's fine. It's usually not a big deal. You know, it's there's a package that's inside Synology, and that's like an old package you don't usually want to use.
Okay.
And then there's the one that's you know, you want to be able to use the newest one, and they have those downloads from Plex's website. Well, I did that a while ago and downloaded and installed it, and apparently I screwed it up, and now I have to fix it because I can't stream remotely anymore, and so it's like it corrupted this upgrade to the newest operating system on the Synology NAS basically kind of messed with my how Plex works, and I'm gonna have to fix it. So I'm kind of Plexless right now, which is kind of sad.
So you're
I have family.
perplexed?
I am perplexed, and I have family members like, "Oh, your Plex server is down. We use that." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
So you basically did an unintentional scream test to figure out who
is that what they call that?
Yeah, that's the official term, is a scream test. When you go, let's see who's actually using this, and you turn it off to see who complains. And if nobody complains, then you just leave it off.
Does that mean you pass the scream test if nobody complains?
No, it just means you can finally get rid of the thing.
I know, but it's a test.
Oh, yeah.
And by it being a test, is it a pass fail?
I would consider that a pass.
And you would consider nobody screamed a pass. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It isn't necessarily just to see if nobody's using it. It's to see who.
Right.
So
yeah.
If you may know that some people use it because you get bandwidth used or traffic, and then you're like, who are all those random IP addresses
Okay,
accessing my Plex server?
Okay, well, I know who they are because I give them individual logins.
Yeah.
And I know who they are.
But do you have two-factor so that you can guarantee that their profile hasn't been
Nope, but I can easily just kick them off if and then when I don't care about one. You know, hey, you've been watching a lot of shows, and I can tell them what they've been watching. They're like, no, I haven't. It's like, I'm going to kick you off. It's okay. It's only a couple people. It's a couple of family members and one guy at work who wanted to try it, and he has got Starlink now, and he's like, oh, I can actually watch shows. He would actually use my Plex server because he would take his phone to work, and then he would download the movies off into his phone.
Geez.
And then he would go home, plug the phone into his TV because he had an external HDMI to watch movies off his cached movies off his phone.
Not that long ago, that's the way people listen to podcasts. Yeah. You would take your iPod into the house, connect it to your computer, download the new episodes, and hope that iTunes doesn't completely overwrite and rewrite your entire collection. And just so that you can listen to the new episode on your way to work the next day.
That was a feature, not a bug. Remember?
Yeah.
Reminds me of the late 90s with Napster. I mean, Seriously, downloading things so that you can use them.
Remember the days before Netflix used to stream? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd only get the DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. DVDs and Handbrake. Hey, man, what a library, huh?
What does your car have to do with it?
The thing that gets me is when I find myself buying things that I already own just because I don't want to find the DVD. I'm just like, this is like, it's all the way over there.
They're on the shelf for display purposes. They're on the shelf for display purposes only, not for actual use.
That's right.
Yep.
What's wrong with you people?
Like my books. I have most of them digitally too, so it's like you got the books on the bookshelf.
Well, there are several
don't
books.
Read them that way,
there are several books that I purchased after listening to them in the audio format because you know what? I would like a first edition hardback cover of The Sword of Shannara. I enjoyed that song or that, you know.
Yeah, I would like that too. Let me know if you find one.
Oh, I've got one in a box someplace. It might be a reprint, but it is one of the old hardcovers. I got it on Amazon for like $5.
Nice.
But
very cool.
Yeah, it's like, you know, this thick. I'm never gonna read it again. Just sits on a shelf when I have a bookshelf.
You don't have one yet?
In this house I don't have a bookshelf set up because what was the point?
Oh, okay. To hold your books? That's
they're safely in boxes on a shelf. In a
so you do have a bookshelf.
Well, I guess. Yeah, my bookshelf is in my utility room.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what are we actually here to talk about? Not books.
Well, we could possibly talk about books, but I don't think so. We are talking about things like Twitch. Twitch is returning a feature that it used to have on Xbox. That's right. It used to be very simple for you to be opening up your Xbox and log into your Twitch account, press a button on your remote, and start streaming. That was a cool feature it could do back in the day. That went away in the early teens, 20 teens. I can't remember when it went away, but they just brought it back. The new streaming app is available for you to easily return it from the dashboard. You go ahead and go in there with your logged in account, and even if you can even plug in a webcam, and that should work too on this on the service.
And this wasn't a Twitch issue. This was a Microsoft issue because Twitch went away because that's when they were trying to push everybody to Mixer.
Oh,
I believe.
Good job, Microsoft.
And because you want you to use their service on, their platform, and that didn't work. And then I believe when Mixer went away, they moved it to not YouTube, but maybe Facebook.
I can't remember.
I don't remember. But yeah, the fact that Twitch is an option, again, that's good.
Microsoft, that's not how you do it. You're supposed to be like, oh yeah, you can use your third party program, but if you use our first party program, it's just better because you have feature A and feature B, and you just make whatever you have the premium experience.
Yeah, because Twitch has always had Xbox streaming support inside its own app, but the integration into the dashboard, let me fix that. We got no Jimmy.
Poor Jimmy.
Yeah, poor Jimmy. But yeah, the integration into the dashboard's back, which should be there's plenty of Xbox users out there rejoicing right now.
Yeah, sure. No, the Twitch, it's gonna just be a bigger and better thing now. More people are gonna use that service. Oh, I don't know. It's a fine service. I actually have no problem with Twitch in principle.
No, for whatever it's good for what it is.
Yeah, it's fine. It's good. All right, well, let's talk Google Stadia. There's actually a couple pieces of Google Stadia news. Google Stadia has started licensing its I think I skipped it. Google Stadia is now offering a new way for you to try out games instead of the demo versions of things that come up sometimes, or
which I played through every demo that they have the other night.
Okay. They have a new way for you to try out a game, which makes perfect sense for the streaming platform. Quite frankly, Google will go ahead and say, "Hey, you can go ahead and play this game for 30 minutes, and that's it. It doesn't cost you anything. You can do it for free. You just have to sign in with your Google account into Stadia, start the game, and I guess it gives you a timer of some kind or somewhere, just how much time you've used. And after 30 minutes, it says, "Great, your time's up. Hope you liked it." This is actually a cool for multiple reasons. A, I don't have to install a big game for me to try it, which is awesome. B, I bet you anything, there's good metrics being read by Google and being used by all the various companies who want to know, okay, how do people like their game or not, and they probably can get feedback about the game and all that with this. Last but not least, oh, poor Jimmy.
There we go. Welcome back.
Is that you can get this thing instantaneously with no delay.
This is the single feature I have been asking for since they first launched Stadia, because I just want to be able to get in. I'll know within 30 minutes whether or not I like a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be great if this and I suspect it will happen if this goes well, for them to start doing trials of most of the games. So a lot more games coming on, because it is a great way. 30 minutes. It's kind of like the old shareware kind of version where you can play the first 3 levels and then you got to pay for the rest. And so I think it's great. I like the idea. I do note that when in the article they said that it's still not quite as seamless as it feels like it should be. And so what they said is, like, ideally you'd be able to click on an ad or something and be playing the game, which I agree. I think that's what it should be targeting and what the goal should be. In fact, this week on my phone, Google started offering that as a service for Google Play games. So I don't know what games it is available for, but in one of the games I was playing, another game, I was playing like a word game, like Word whatever, and one of the ads, it popped up, and I was like, oh, that kind of looks like a cool puzzle game. So I clicked it, and it let me start playing the game immediately there. Not just like the quick minor interactive ad, but like the full-on game. And then after a few minutes, it asked me if I wanted to download it. And so I clicked that. I continued playing. And then when I closed the game later, it had actually done the install at that point. So I thought that was pretty slick. It's a new feature for, or at least, new for me. Google popped up and asked if I wanted to add this feature and take advantage of it. So I can imagine something like that happening with this, where you're just checking your email, you see an ad in your Gmail and click on it, start playing the game, like right there, just bring it up and start playing. I think that would be pretty sweet.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Stadia. I hope it survives. I know there's an awful lot of people who doubt it. I do understand why it's not necessarily the best platform, especially anything that you could not stand any kind of latency issues. That in that kind of setting, it's exactly the wrong platform for you. But that being said, for so many different games, this could be a great platform.
I've played a wide variety of games on there, and I have never experienced anything that was noticeably laggy. Everything's been great.
I've had a very good experience. I have had a hiccup in a game. It's basically an artifact. I saw. Oh wow! I visually saw the screen get a little worse for a second there. And once, which is impressive because that's a lot of data to be sent from you. So, absolutely. I'm hoping that they are able to keep this alive one way or another. And so this idea for demos is great. This is perfect. Let's keep this up, guys.
I'm pretty sure. Oh, good.
I was just going to say the neat thing about this is that it's really, and the reason this really actually effectively works is because it really isn't that much data that is required to transmit for a game like this to work, right? Your actions and movement on your mouse or gamepad, it's not very many things going on, right?
Yeah.
And they're sending back a streaming video. So it's no different than any other streaming video.
Yeah,
about consistent and
as long as there isn't a lot of latency between when you push the button and it actually happens on the screen, because that messes with your brain more than anything. But yeah, in regard to longevity, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna make more money with other services.
What are you talking about? Nobody's going to take this product and, use it for their own services. None whatsoever. It's not like, I don't know, AT&T is going to take, I don't know, a Batman game and let's let people play it for free. Oh, wait, that's what they're doing. If you're an AT&T wireless customer, you can play Batman Arkham Knight for free because you have it, because they have the rights, being AT&T, to all the Warner Brothers stuff. And that's right, you can play this game absolutely for free on any desktop device. And guess what? It's being run by Stadia. They're not letting you have that. Here's the other problem about Stadia and all streaming services is you don't actually own the game, which I also see as a problem in many ways. But I don't necessarily own all the movies I watch on streaming services, but the ones that I want to, I do own. So
the difference is, did you pay full price at the same price as you would have for a physical copy? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter if you own it. If the answer is yes, then you better own it.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
So it's a white label version of Stadia playing a video game, a pretty high-end video game. This Arkham Knight one is like, I think, the most recent version of it.
So I've got a question about that picture. Is Batman fighting Iron Man?
I do not know who that villain is. I see the Falcone Tower there, so I do not know, unfortunately.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know either. If I followed Batman better, I would know, but I don't. The one thing I ask, and this is, unanswerable except by Google executives, I guess, would be these two stories both could be, this is Google's strategy from the beginning, or they could be, Stadia is not making enough money. How can we find other ways to make money?
I'm pretty sure it's more of a pivot, but I'm glad that they're pivoting rather than pulling the ripcord like they typically do.
Right.
Even on things that are successful.
Right.
Also, with Google's like antitrust issues right now, I'm surprised they're not just spinning Stadia off into its own company, where it can be.
We should probably talk a little bit about the antitrust issues going on, but it's complicated. And,
it is.
My feelings are complicated about it, and because I actually feel really betrayed by Google a little bit. So, yeah. We can digest that if we want to. Maybe after the show.
Yeah, we'll put that. I'll put that in the doc for post show.
Okay. Hey, how about this? If you are, looks like we lost Jimmy again. Hey, if YouTube is
every time I click away,
don't worry, you're going to click away, and he's going to be right back. He's like Batman. He disappears and comes back. Interesting. YouTube is getting ready to turn off all of its services that are on the Roku. That's right. They are looking to on December 9th to remove the YouTube apps, all of them, from the Roku platform. And there's been this talk back and forth about what they want for being on the platform. The Roku app, Roku is claiming there's an email, and they have an email saying that they want to have preferential treatment and they want to be able to have a special spot on the menu for them, which might be true. I don't know. Google is basically denying it, and that's all they're doing at this point. This is our standard, carriage fee argument kind of thing going on with Google and Roku. I sure hope that they come to, like usual, they find some type of solution by the end of this. Before
this is the thing we started. We touched on this back when it first started a couple months ago, and that's when Roku was like, "Hey, Google is asking the world, and it's unreasonable." So, here's this problem. And Google kept saying, no, we're not. We never said that. No, we're not. But now there's this email that if it's verified, it actually does show them saying the thing they were accused of saying. But like I said, whether or not it's verified, is the question. I mean, oh well, I'm not too worried. These things usually get resolved eventually.
Yeah, I know.
Might not have YouTube or YouTube TV on the Roku for a while.
That would be a huge deal in my house.
In your house, for me, not as big of a deal. It'd be a little bit more inconvenient. I never watch YouTube on the Roku. I do watch YouTube TV. But I've got other devices and I don't watch YouTube TV regularly, so I could survive. It'd be basically like the way I was living back when I was on Android TV and Amazon wasn't there, and I would have to go to a different device to watch Amazon stuff, or HBO stuff.
I have enough devices. I think I'd be okay, but still.
No, I mean, it's inconvenient. And there are people where YouTube is or Roku's their only device. Yeah, and they watch a lot of YouTube, like my parents. My dad watches a lot of stuff on YouTube. And he's going to be kind of pissed.
Yeah, they're just playing corporate chicken.
Yeah.
Is what it sounds like to me. And then I think Clyde's right. Eventually they'll get it resolved.
It will. Who's going to swerve first? Neither one may swerve for a while. But it'll get worked out eventually. I mean, YouTube was gone from Amazon, from the Fire platform for how long?
YouTube TV or YouTube proper or both?
YouTube itself.
Yeah, I suppose it wasn't on there for a long time.
Because they took it off. And I think that was an Amazon thing. And Chrome was removed as well. And then but there was a way to watch YouTube in the Amazon browser.
The browser. Yeah, the Silk browser.
Yeah. But that was for a couple of years. But eventually it came back. So
what you're saying is Roku needs to come out with a browser for their Roku. Then everybody can do things through that.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or any developers out there, develop a browser that only plays YouTube.
Yeah.
And put it in the Roku store.
Yeah, I mean, there was a similar workaround on, I believe, the Fire TV for a while.
Yeah.
When I first got the Fire TV, YouTube wasn't actually on the Fire TV. And there was an app that you could download that was, in effect, a browser, a full screen browser with YouTube on it. And it worked fairly well. It wasn't flawless. I don't remember if I could even log in, but I do remember that it wasn't at all easy.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, that's not the line. But I do remember that
It was inconvenient.
It was inconvenient.
Yes.
But it worked.
Mm-hmm.
It was the way to do it.
And if you make the app for the Roku, in exchange for the idea, all I ask is that you name it YouTube, as in the letter U, TOOB.
YouTube.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Roku is doing one thing that they think is really good for advertisers. The Roku is doing their is making their data available for people to see what their watching habits are. It's got the Nielsen ratings settings taking effect inside the device now, so they're able to provide a lot of good information about Roku users and their streaming habits. That's 55 million active accounts on there, so that's a lot of eyeballs that they're going to be able to report on.
I'm happy about this. I've been wanting them to do this for a long time. I was very happy when I got, as a beta tester for TiVo, I was able to enable Nielsen ratings on my TiVo box, because I watch a lot of stuff that typically doesn't get credit. Back in the day when it was over the air, when you were relying on specific households that wouldn't necessarily watch the stuff that I love.
Right. Hey, Johnny, could you tell Dad to watch this show tonight?
Oh, I used to do that because my friend's parents were a Nielsen family. And there was a show that we both... Oh, it was when Community first came out. Community and Better Off Ted. And we knew that they weren't watching it. And a lot of people weren't watching it, but the shows were so amazing. It was like, told their parents, make sure that the TV is switched. Even if you're not going to be home, make sure that TV is switched to that channel for those two shows to get some credit.
Right.
Because, yeah, one household counts like as a large number share or a large share, because they're technically so few households per the entire market. So yeah, this is cool. I like this. I don't mind telling Nielsen what I'm watching, as long as that's really the info that they're getting. Now, if they're like getting purchases and all kinds of other stuff that doesn't pertain to watch numbers, then yeah, it's a matter of what are they collecting, I guess, is the thing.
That's true. The world runs with advertising if you're not paying for it. So yeah, you gotta do the dirty deed to make things cost less for free.
But the thing is, I am paying for most of those services.
That's true. But then they use it to know what's working, what's not, what to get rid of, what to keep going.
Yeah, because Netflix knows what I'm watching. Nothing. But the rest of the world doesn't know what I'm watching on Netflix. And so, which is kind of helpful. So
that's all right. Hey, if you've been wishing you could be watching Apple TV Plus and you live in South Korea. Guess what? It's gonna be your lucky day soon. On November 4th, the platform is getting access to the Apple service, which will allow you to watch all kinds of cool shows, including a bunch of actually Korean language shows they're setting up on there. One of them is called Dr. Brain, which is about a guy who is somehow able to attach his brain to the recently deceased in order to know what they've been going through, maybe see their memories. And I'm telling you, it sounds just like Stitchers, and I don't know why that's so true.
Interesting. Well, yes, all I have to say is happy birthday, Korea, from me.
Oh.
It's my birthday, and I'm giving Korea Apple TV Plus.
Your birthday is November 8th?
No, 4th.
Oh.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, Matt.
Okay. I said 8th. I don't know why.
Did I understand you correctly? Did you make a Stitchers reference?
I did.
Sweet. I kind of did that show.
The initial seasons were actually decent. I kind of tailed off at the end. My wife kept watching.
Yeah, when it got canceled, it was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a good show.
That like third or whatever season was like, ooh, okay, you're kind of grasping, but no, it's cool. Yeah, it was deep cut. That's all I wanted to acknowledge. Deep cut.
It's all right. I'm just wondering anyone know.
Sure.
All right. If you are a GeForce Now user, using that cloud service in order to play your video games, you have had the option to get a real you paid for service where you could play whatever game you like and get premium access to the servers for $50 for 6 months of a time. And now you have an option that'll give you up to a 440p display, 200 frames per second, and RTX 3080 style graphics, which means RTX all those RTX features get turned on, including ray tracing, for $100 for 6 months worth of service. That's twice as much for basically twice as much frames per second and a whole lot of pixels, maybe not twice as many. This is an updated new tier for those people who wish they had that awesome service at a higher, with more capabilities.
Yeah, I like it.
So you can still play some games for free on the service that are just but you have to basically you're pushed to the back of the line when you're trying to connect to a game, and they usually are kicked off after an hour, if I remember correctly. Then you still have this option for paying $50 for 6 months of it, but I think it maxes out at 1080p and 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. I can't remember. Anyways, and now this new one is the $100 for 6 months for 40p to 120 frames per second and a 3080 spaced system. So.
Yep. Oh, and just a reminder, if you're lucky enough to actually have a RTX 3080, do not play that Amazon MMO RPG. That is unless you want to buy a new one.
So apparently that's happened to some people, but not all. But it does really work the card hard.
It's been happening predominantly for specific models of the cards,
right?
But right. Yes, like I think the lower end 3070 was okay, or the 3060 or whatever the lower end one is, but
right. But the higher end, and from the EVGA guys are in particular, because I don't know why, but there have been some melting cards.
Bad code is melting down the cards.
Although I must say, apparently the guys who were just freaking out about that game, it's kind of lost a lot of those player base now. It's much, much smaller than it used to be.
Yeah.
That happens. That sucks. Hey, if you are wanting to play those NVIDIA games and you do have your big old 4K television and it's connected to your Xbox console, you can now use that built-in browser, the ones based off Edge, Microsoft Edge, to access GeForce and play GeForce Now on it. And that's actually a supported way of playing it. NVIDIA has actually said, yep, we're supporting that method. It is available for you now.
Doesn't the fancy Xbox have AMD graphics in it?
Yes, but it's streaming the games to you.
I know,
GeForce
but
now, so
okay.
So it doesn't use that. It's like, whatever. Gonna keep up with the frame rate? That's all we care about.
Okay.
Can you fill the frame buffer fast enough? Otherwise, it's okay. We'll be fine.
Go
ahead.
So as the non-gamer here, why would you want to play a game on a browser on Xbox?
No, it allows you to play the streaming games from NVIDIA that aren't natively available on the Xbox. So you're basically it's allowing you cross-platform play. The same way I would play Stadia on my desktop.
But if you own an Xbox, wouldn't you subscribe to Xbox?
Well, these games aren't necessarily available on Xbox.
Some aren't, and I mean, the Xbox technology is already basically antiquated. So,
yeah. Shots fired.
It's streaming. The cloud gaming is clearly the future, which is why Like the consoles are just basically now computers that let you access that. Most of them don't even let you play content from the device. But
I guess I didn't realize how Byzantine the gaming industry is. I thought that they all, you had Xbox and you had Sony. Those are the two big platforms. And, all of them just, you subscribe to one platform or the other.
But the thing is, you can, but that was always the issue is you have to choose one or the other because most people don't want to pay for both. And a lot of them have platform exclusives. So a lot of people go PlayStation because they like Uncharted or whatever that are the PlayStation exclusives. Same thing with Microsoft, like you've got your Halos and other stuff that aren't available.
If you wanted to play Sony games on your Xbox, you'd do it through the browser.
Potentially. So like the streaming games are typically PC-based games, which, yes, you may have one of those on a PC, but it depends. Or older games that aren't available in the Xbox store. But
the thing is that consoles, frankly, are pretty cutting edge when they come out, but they're crappy systems by the time people start buying them. Generally, the comparison is that you pay $600 or so for a PlayStation 5, and to get a PC, you can get a PC that's quite a bit better. You're just going to pay $3,000 or something for it.
Yeah.
So
the
best bang for your buck, but it's not the best gaming system.
And that's why they always compare the console to the previous console, never to the PC you're going to be buying, because they're also they're different markets. See, that's where SteamOS really wanted to say, hey, you want to play your PC games, but you want the lean back experience. You can't. Anybody that's tried taking their PC and just setting it up in the living room on the TV knows that it's not a great solution, even though you get to play your PC games. But the consoles give you, or the reason they still make the consoles is because people don't want to mess with that. They just want something they can sit down, pick up the controller, and play. And this gives them more options with whatever platform they chose. So.
And I guarantee you that Microsoft actually probably does not necessarily want you doing this because, they want you to buy their games or buy their streaming service for their stuff. Absolutely. But it is the full Edge browser they installed on it, which means that people are able to use that to play these games because that's their supported platform.
Yep.
So, yay!
And then another benefit would be if you're a subscriber to the NVIDIA GeForce Now, you can play that on any device. So I could start a game on my PC and decide, I'm going to go play it in the living room now. Go play it there, and then I'm on a train going someplace. I can pick up the game on my phone. And that's really where those cloud services shine. But yeah, the ability to do it on a fairly closed platform like the Xbox is cool.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Looks like the guys at Streamlabs have looked at the amount of usage people are using to stream their games and the different platforms they're going on to. Did you know there's a Facebook gaming platform?
We laugh about it every time they mention it.
Really?
Because grandmas need to be able to play games
too.
That's
right. It's watching people play Candy Crush, streaming that hours a day.
Hey, let's
Farmville.
Let's co-stream Farmville.
That sounds like
pick radishes.
Okay, well, apparently, according to their own databases of who's using it for what platform, they've looked at the number of hours for the different platforms, and it seems to be that the guys at Facebook now have acquired more hours per month than YouTube has for their streaming platform, which is sad because YouTube's been around for a long time and spent a lot of money to get people to come over to the platform, even had a dedicated apps for it and all kinds of things. And unfortunately, Facebook gaming has picked up more people to watch their stuff.
I'm not surprised by this because gaming on YouTube has been dead for a long time. Everybody moved to Twitch and there was that big exodus, and really the only people that went back to YouTube were people that got kicked off of Twitch, and then they ended up leaving to go to Facebook gaming. So
also I'm sure that there are lots of people who watch Facebook gaming because they're scrolling through their list and go, oh, that guy's gaming.
Yeah. 90 I would venture to guess 90% of the gaming watched on YouTube is a Twitch export.
Yeah.
They're not watching it live. They're watching so-and-so's stream from a couple months ago when they did the thing that they did, or
honestly, I'm just curious, and you don't have to answer this here, but I would love to know the reason why in particular YouTube gaming doesn't work where Twitch gaming does. We could talk about it after the show, because I just don't understand what the major differences between why they aren't somewhat close to each other, if you know what I mean. So
first mover advantage is probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, the thing is, YouTube was the first mover.
But we could talk. I'm adding that to the post show.
All right. Okay. All right. Here, if you do like listening to Apple Music while on your PlayStation 5, now you have that option available to you. That's right. You can be playing your game of whatever it is you like playing on your PlayStation 5. Maybe it's a Spider-Man game,
Candy
maybe
Crush,
it's like God of War.
Farmville.
While you're streaming it to your Facebook buddies, you can be listening to your music from Apple Music. Unfortunately, you can't do that because you probably get a copyright strike, but you could try.
Yeah. Well, that's a nice thing. If you're going to Twitch, they just mute it.
That's true.
Which is really funny if you're the band performing your own music and then they mute you. Like at BlizzCon last year when Metallica played.
Well, Metallica is famous for.
I know, that's why that was so beautiful.
So I'm sure that somebody somewhere adjusted the algorithm to be extra careful with Metallica stuff because Metallica was so litigious.
And I mean, they're so litigious, they probably would have sued themselves for playing that music.
No, they would have sued Blizzard because we knew you were streaming this. We just didn't know you were streaming this to people. I don't know. All right. Samsung has a big announcement. They're doing updates for all their various platforms. This SDC21, I'm guessing it's the Samsung Developer Conference. Anyways, one of their things they were talking about on there is that they announced that they were starting a Samsung cloud gaming platform. That's right. They will allow you to use your fancy TV to play more streaming games over the internet. That's right. Gaming, streaming, it really is going to be a thing. There wasn't much more mentioned about it other than the fact that they're going to do it with their premium TVs. So,
with what we know about Stadia licensing out their thing, how much you want to bet this is built on Stadia?
Wouldn't hurt. It would be fine. That would be great.
It would make perfect sense.
It would be easy for them to step into and say, yeah.
But then again, this is Samsung, where they like to reinvent the wheel, and not necessarily in good ways.
They don't, the story does talk about Google starting to license externally to AT&T, and it doesn't indicate that it seems likely that that's the case. That may just be that we don't know enough.
Yeah, it's speculation right now. We don't know either way.
My suspicion is that you're right. It's Samsung. Of course, they're doing it on their own, and they're going to make Bixby be the way you interact with it.
No!
We'll find some way to make Bigsby a success. Something we do has got to catch on.
Yeah. I mean, if they're smart, they'll just do it on the now proven platform. But yeah, I doubt they're going to do that. So yeah, hey, more competition. That's always good.
Here's a story. So Wise is the company that makes cool smart home technology that is fairly inexpensive, fairly open to lots
designed
of
in the U.S.
Pretty cool.
In China.
Pretty cool. They started off with a Wise Cam and have gone in multiple directions from there. I've kept my eye on Wise, but I haven't actually done any of my anything with them. But this is one of those intelligent smart switches where you can go ahead and click on it in order to turn on your lights and or control your various home devices depending on it's being on or off kind of thing. It has most of your own standard features. It works with the various with the most popular talking devices, so you can talk
IoT.
to your assistants. It also talks with assistants as well. You can hook them up with Google's and Amazon's. But this has got one little feature which kind of stands out. It's got the ability to at least one extra gesture with it. You can double tap on it and maybe other things as well in order to have it do a secondary thing, which is kind of cool. Like, for example, you wanted to, when you double tap the light switch to lock your doors, you can make it do that. And since it attaches to all the different platforms, you can basically program it to do anything at all. They might have other gestures as well, but that's the one that shows as right inside this here. So that's kind of cool. And it's a 3-pack for like $39,
yeah.
$33.
I think these are pre-order. I'm putting in because I've talked about one of my main complaints is that I have to yell at Google to turn on the light in my bedroom because there is a light switch. It's on the wrong side of the door, so I can't get to it. Even if I could get to it, it is not attached to any of the outlets in the room, so it's pointless. So the only way to turn on any lights in my bedroom is to either walk across a dark room or yell at Google every time I enter, and that's annoying. I want this.
I just am thinking about like the way, because it implies you can automate your whole home. So I'm just imagining like how many presses I would end up having to get all of my devices enabled. It's like,
well,
hey, how do I lock the doors? 14 presses. That's the
no.
What's the garage
all you gotta
door?
do is you set up a routine.
13 times. No, not 13.
Yeah. No, basically all this is you set up a routine and in that routine you set all of the different things you want it to do so that with one press it can turn off the lights, lock the door, bring down your purge protectors, those iron things over your windows,
Your iron shades.
You know, whatever. And
well, that would be one way, but they clearly allow multiple things, so you could do like 3 things. And I'm just like I said, I'm thinking about how many smart things I have in my house, and it's like just one switch to control them all. Just as long as you can remember how many times you have to press it to do something, and press it the right number of times, not too many or too few.
So are they, and you just mentioned something that made me think, so one switch to control them all. So is there these being sold in a 3-pack, like some sort of Tolkien reference?
There you go.
3 for Elven, for the 3 for the elves.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I don't know. But that's as far as I know.
My thoughts were, how many times do I press it? Thrice shalt thou press the button.
I wonder if you can program like a pattern, like that, and it goes, oh, that's this. Yeah. Okay.
Spacing. Okay, press it 13 times to the
teach it more.
Row your boat theme.
If you're gonna do that, you're better off just shouting at across the room.
When you get to the middle part, it's like, geez, man, this is a hard one. It's like, geez. The triplets are hard, man.
To really screw with guests to your house, though. I just want to turn on the light to get a drink in the night.
Also, you tell them that's what you have to do. That's what they learn they have to do. But there's one in the house that's not like that, and so you're pressing it like so flashing crazily. He's like, ah. What are you doing? Oh, sorry, it's one of those light switches. Gotcha.
It's the normal light switch.
The normal switch. Gotcha.
All
right. Here's
cool.
what
I do like it.
Last story is Spotify has looked at their various metrics out there. There's a company out there that does the metrics of the various who uses which platform for what more than the others, and have basically Spotify is happy to point out that, oh, by the way, we are now the #1 streaming platform for podcasts, because according to Edison, 24% of those users, of those respondents that they asked, will use their platform, versus 21%, which uses what used to be the #1, which is Apple. That's right. Spotify dethrones Apple and something.
I think that Clyde wrote this article. Did you write this article, Clyde?
No, because I am anti-podcast on Spotify.
No, listen.
He wants his music.
The subline is, all those exclusive podcasts must be working to our raging chagrin.
Oh, yeah. I do like the headline. It says Spotify dethrones Apple as king of podcast listenership thanks to its annoyingly aggressive strategy, which I will agree. It is aggressively annoying. I just want to turn it all off.
I've actually always been a fan of the guys at Android Police. They're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, they're pretty good.
That's why I look. Why I like to look
were
there
of
for
the
stuff.
same opinion as you, annoyingly aggressive and raging chagrin.
Yeah.
If that's not a title, I don't know what is.
I mean, and it doesn't hurt that they've done a whole bunch of exclusives, like a multi-year contract with the WWE, which is putting out 32 originals, in the third quarter alone. Yeah. I think Apple was there. They can claim that they were, first or whatever, but they kind of haven't really innovated. The only thing they've done lately, and I mean, what can you do in the podcast space other than create a paywall, which they recently did, which I think may contribute to this.
Maybe
to the people.
Yeah, it's possible.
But I can't say because I haven't used it. I don't know. So, but yeah. Congratulations, Spotify. You're this close to losing me as a customer, but at least you bested Apple.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they pulled out the checkbook to pay for the talent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And, they've got the user base that's willing to, I mean, you can pay for the talent, but if nobody wants to use it, they won't use it.
I mean, but like you say, they got a user base. I mean, some of the users are going to be using it, right? Yeah.
We're just saying that they managed to do some things right to get to where they are.
Yeah.
Clyde is at the point where they might lose him, so it might not matter for him.
Nope. But you know what does matter for me? The people that support this show. They're the only people that matter to me, really.
Oh.
I mean, you guys, obviously, but I think you guys all support the show, too. So, obviously, but I don't know. We won't get into that. No, to all of you that are out there that are patrons that financially support this show every month, you are awesome. We appreciate it, and we literally wouldn't be doing this without you. We are into our 5th year.
Really?
Or did we start our 6th year?
I can't remember.
I don't know, because Movie Party next month is starting our 6th year, and I started that after we started the VOD
We've
Squad.
completed 5 years.
So we're in our
6th year.
We're several months into our 6th year.
Wow.
Thanks to the supporters on Patreon. If you would like to become one of those supporters and get the podcast audio version on time, every time, not like 2 episodes 3 weeks later, like the free version, $1 a month. That's it. And you head on over to patreon.com/the Squad, and you can become awesome, just like the rest of them. All right, rants, raves, here we go. All right. Rant, should we start with Jimmy? Do you want to rant about getting disconnected over and over and over?
Well, you know, it's not my internet service. If you're looking Discord, I posted what I'm measuring there. But I don't know what it is. It's just Zoom just keeps going in and out. But, you know, I did an uptime on my machine here. Maybe it's the fact that I've not rebooted this machine in 73 days.
That's it?
That's all? The only time I ever boot or reboot most of my computers is when there's an update and it forces me to. Except this PC, because I've got...
Well, 73 days ago is when I updated last, right? But I don't know. Maybe I need to reboot. I don't know. It seems to be just Zoom. Yeah, my internet service seems to be okay, right?
It may be an issue with Zoom CDN to your area.
Yeah, it could be. Maybe that's
it's probably Apple trying to very lightly, politely tell you it's time to reboot and update to the newest version of macOS.
They're punishing you for not using what is it, FaceTime, or whatever the Apple version of Zoom is.
Maybe so. Maybe that's what it is.
Your computer is being haunted by the ghost of Steve Jobs.
Anyway, speaking of Apple, right? And I'll go ahead and rant or rave here first while my connection is holding up. Over the weekend, so I've been watching Foundation, which is an Apple TV Plus show. And I discovered a new show that they just put out there called Invasion. That one too is a science fiction show and it's pretty good, right? And next month, they're releasing a Tom Hanks movie that's also a science fiction movie. That one looks pretty good. I watched the previews to that. And, you know, Ted Lasso, I'm really liking that one. You know, it's almost 2 years to the day. I think it was November 1st, 2 years ago, when Apple TV Plus started their service. And I think I made the comment back then, you know, there's a couple of shows there I kind of like, but it's not worth
Took them 2 years. Now they have more than 5 shows.
Yeah. So now I think maybe now it's to the point where it might be worth $5 a month now. Right? I think they've got enough content and the quality content is good. It's just they didn't have the big massive libraries like, you know, Disney or Netflix or something like that. Right.
Yeah, the big question ultimately comes down to, is there enough new content every month to keep you subscribed? Because you can have a fairly decent sized library, but will the average user burn through it in like 2 months? And then what do you do for the rest of the year?
And it could be that, right?
Then that was my question. It was a question, not a statement.
Yeah, and you could still make the argument that Apple TV Plus might be something kind of like, you know, Showtime is for me. It's just, you know, a seasonal subscription, right? You know, that kind of thing. But you know, 2 years ago when it first got off the ground, I was like, you know, it's pretty good and all. But you know, didn't have enough content there. You know, fortunately they were giving it away for free, right? But one other thing I'll say about the service too, the fidelity of the content is really good. If you've got a 4K HDR television, it's really.
Oh man. It's really good. It's something else. That's what he's going to say. It was really something else.
It's really out of this world.
Yeah,
It left him speechless. It's so good.
Man, I think he's in shock.
All right, who's next?
Are we doing reverse order? Do you want to go next?
We'll go. Mike.
All right. Last week on Thursday night, I went to maybe the second time since the beginning of the pandemic. I don't know. I can't remember things. The movie theater. And I watched,
my condolences.
Yeah. No, I watched Dune. And it was outstanding. I loved it. The reviews seem to be a little bit more mixed than me, or than my review. But I absolutely loved it. I mean, it's got a 91 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, so it's not too bad. I thought that they did a really good job of creating the characters, and the visual effects were really good. The look and feel of the movie was awesome. I loved it. I've heard other people that the guy that played, for example, if you're familiar with Dune at all, the guy that played the main character, I think it's Paul. Is that right?
Paul Atreides.
Yeah, for a minute my brain was getting dumb, or showing its dumbness. But Paul Atreides, yeah. So he was tiny, like this, like scrawny little kid. I mean, relative to Jason Momoa and the other, Josh Brolin and the other characters on scene with him. But to me, he looked exactly like I had envisioned him. I thought it was great. Very much enjoyed it. And very good. Looking forward to it. The one downside, it was a part one, which I don't remember ever seeing anywhere, that it was a part one. And it was like very obviously like maybe half of the first book. So yeah.
Did they at least wrap up the first story good enough, or did they just like end it in like mid-sentence?
They wrapped it up okay. They stopped at a logical place, but it is just barely scratching the surface of the movie. They did a good job of developing the characters. I mean, if you've read the books, or I've only read this book, I haven't read the books, plural, but if you've read Dune, then you realize that it's a little slow. It's not maybe quite up to what we consider modern pacing in sci-fi and fantasy, but I thought it was great. I enjoyed it.
The one thing that I've heard from several people that have seen it is that they enjoyed it, but they were glad they didn't pay to see it in the theater.
Oh, no, see, I thought it was great in the theater. Big screen.
I would like to comment on it. I have started watching it twice. And both times I have fallen asleep by the point where Paul Atreides is waking up at the beginning of the movie. So that's about 15 minutes in, when they do that whole intro with the lady on the planet, and then he wakes up like it was his dream.
Yeah.
That's the last thing I remember both times I tried to watch it. So I'll go back and try and watch it again, and some point in the year I lost all motivation. But I will say that's basically the same thing I experienced with both the Harry Potter and the Lord of the Rings movies. So, so I've never gotten into them because I keep falling asleep.
Right. Well, I mean, like I said, this barely gets into the books, right? Like,
sure,
this whole movie is, I think a lot of people might see it as slow, and maybe that's why it gets a 91 instead of a 99 or 100. like I said, I loved it, and I thought it was paced and appropriate to the books, but I think that the books are generally accepted as a little slow.
Yeah, and that's not to say that I don't enjoy the Dune stuff, because I have watched the movie and I did rather enjoy the sci-fi miniseries from the early 2000s, which if you haven't seen it and you're looking for a Dune fix,
I haven't seen that one. I saw the Sting one, the movie.
Yeah, with the dude from Twin Peaks, but. No, yeah, Sci-Fi it was like a 6 hour, I think it was a 3-part miniseries. So it was total of 6 hours. And it wasn't great. People still said it was problematic, but I rather enjoyed it.
I remember it coming out and getting totally panned. But at that time, I hadn't read the book. I read Dune in 2019. So I'm fairly new to Dune. It's just been on my to-do list.
I also typically attribute that it's very possible my enjoyment of the miniseries is due to the fact that I had never watched or read anything about Dune. Yeah. Because from there, I went and watched the movie from the 80s. And I thought I was like, okay, this is okay. And, I wasn't like in love with either property, but I thought they were decent. I still have no interest in reading the book. I got what I needed from the other stuff, and I'll just stay ignorant.
The Audible version of the book is really excellent, actually. So maybe as something to occupy your time in a commute.
We've talked about that. I can't do Audible. Because the problem is I have a vivid imagination.
You get distracted.
And I wander, which is a very bad thing when you're moving at high speeds along the freeway. I did that with the Sword of Shannara book. And there was several times where I went, "Oh crap!" And it's like, okay, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, don't listen to the audio.
That's why I like podcasts, because it's stuff that I don't have to actually pay attention to closely, and I can always go back if I need to. But books are giving you information that you need to know, because they typically call back to that information. Otherwise, you get halfway through the book and you go, "Wait, what? I have no idea what he's talking about," and then you got to go back. All right, Matt.
So I've watched a little bit more of My Hero Academia this week, but not too much more, just a little bit. Still good.
Are you into the villain storylines?
Just getting into the villains a little bit. Yep. And what's going on with Hawks and I think the last one I just watched was the where the kids went to visit the Endeavor's family. So,
the work study.
And doing the work study and all that. Yeah. So not very much, not very deep in what's left of it. So I still have some more to do there. The other thing I did is I had a hankering to play Metroid 3, which is Super Metroid for the Super NES. Now, I've played that when I was a kid, and I've gotten partway through it, but I never finished it. And at the same time, I'm very excited about playing Metroid Dread, which is the newest Metroid game that's coming out soon.
Is that a cross-plat, or what's the word when you've got two different properties that come together? Is that Judge Dredd Metroid mix? I can't think of collab.
No.
Oh.
No.
Inflation.
No. Metroid Dread is the last game of the Metroid storyline for the 2D Metroid games, which is basically where you are a person walking back and forth, platforming and playing a game. I've played a bit of one, and that game's impossible to play. I don't know how anybody did it when they first came out. Yeah, the original Metroid.
You just use the glitches and you go immediately to the end.
Or you happen to know the right passwords to, get through it. Yeah, I know. But I've never played Metroid 2 because I'd never played it on the Game Boy, and also that sounds like a horrible way of playing it. But Super Metroid is a really good game. And getting back to it, I'm getting very well. I'm getting pretty far into it. I'm having a good time. I do want to finish it. Metroid 4. I watched somebody do a walkthrough on that. That was interesting. So I knew what happened there. But Metroid Dread looks like a lot of fun, and I'm excited to play it sometime. But I do want to finish playing Metroid 3 first, because I've seen people, I've seen the ending, I've seen other people play it all the way to the end, so I know how it ends. But still, looking excited to being able to do it and say it I got done myself. So that actually took a lot of my time this weekend. It was fun playing that old game. I must say, I'm playing on the Switch and I'm playing on my TV with a Pro Controller, and the Pro Controller buttons are a little bit too far apart for that game, because you have to hit buttons with your thumb multiple at the same time, and the standard layout, which I like to play with the standard layout because that's how it was intended. The buttons are just a little bit more spread apart than they were on the original Super NES controller, and just a little bit more, more difficult to use. But I'm getting used to it, and it's all right. It's having, still having lots of fun.
All right. Yeah, I think the only Metroid game I ever played was on the Game Boy, and I rather enjoyed it. But it just happened to be that was the summer that Black Hole Sun song hit the radio, and it was in constant rotation. So anytime I hear that song, I think of that game, because I was always playing it when that song came on the radio.
It's a pretty good song, unless it was overplayed. It could probably kill it.
Oh, it was very overplayed. Okay. But also when I think of that game, I think of that song, because it actually it was kind of fitting for the imagery and stuff in that game, especially black and white.
True.
But
more like green and dark green.
Yeah.
Light green and dark green.
So, if you have HBO Max and you like silly things, somebody has finally made a watchable Aquaman property.
Oh, wasn't the movie watchable?
It was okay.
Well, most people thought it was pretty funny.
I thought it was okay, but it's not like a reoccurring.
And you can watch the old Aquaman cartoons, ironically, and that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And then they had the video game. The Aquaman video game, actually considered one of the worst video games of all time.
I didn't know there was an Aquaman. Was that starring the dude from Entourage?
Well, it was a video game, so I don't know if it was voiced or not.
I think,
but it was the version of Aquaman with the long blonde hair and with one arm lopped off, and he had like a harpoon arm. It was bad.
You talking about the NES one?
No. I'll go find it.
Yeah, no, it's called Aquaman, King of Atlantis. It starts out on his first day of becoming king. And it is very silly. If you like Teen Titans Go, but you prefer more lumpy animation, I guess it's the right word. I don't know how to describe it. It's a weird look. Kind of reminds me of that Thundercats show that came out last year on HBO Max, which is also kind of silly. And it's not like super nice animation. But I would describe it as Teen Titans Go meets Adventure Time. It's fun. And you've got Jillian Jacobs from Community and a lot of other stuff. She's the voice of the redhead lady that Mara, I think is her name. I don't know Aquaman characters other than Aquaman. And they beat Ocean Master into my head because he keeps coming back and trying to steal back the throne. I think that's his name, right? His Aquaman's brother, the bad guy, who is also voiced by D. Snyder, or not D. Snyder. What's his name? Last name Snyder. Dana Snyder, who voices like all of my favorite characters. Like if there was a Cartoon Network or Adult Swim show that was funny, Dana Snyder did most of the voices. But I recommend it. It's fun. 2 episodes are out, and I can't wait for the next ones. And Doom Patrol continues to be amazing in season 3. Can't wait for Harley Quinn to come back. But on that note, we can probably wrap this up and say thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us tonight, or taking us with you in your commute to wherever the heck you're going. That being said, if you want to do that, you can download the podcast. It is available anywhere you can get podcasts. But if you don't want to wait and you just want to get it on a regular schedule every week, almost immediately after this is done.
And much more reliably.
Exactly. Go to Patreon. Doesn't cost much. But yeah, hey, we're here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central, here on YouTube. Come join us live. Get to participate in the chat. Get to submit titles. And stick around for the post show, which gets lopped off of the audio because most of the time it's not really audio worth it. But yeah, that's it. Thanks, everybody. We will go to post show. Bye.
Okay. Bye.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Recording stopped.
Yay.
There was a video game that you were an underwater character and you threw a trident, and it was like Atari level or NES level graphics. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Or am I just totally out of my mind?
So you're underwater, you threw a trident, NES level graphics. Are you side viewing or top view or
Yeah, side view?
Side view. So you could jump. It was platforming. You would platform and jump onto things and down to things.
No,
you were just swimming around, and then fish would come by or something.
Yeah.
You think it was for the Nintendo Entertainment System?
I thought it was at first, but I'm thinking maybe it was older than that because I feel like the graphics weren't even that good.
Oh, hey, the game that you're talking about, Matt, was it Aquaman Home is Calling?
No, I think what I'm talking about is Aquaman, something about Atlantis.
It didn't look like this.
That actually looks worse than the one.
Well, it may not be a good picture, but someone probably took a picture of their screen with their potato phone.
I believe it's Battle for Atlantis is the one I'm talking about. And apparently, remember how Superman 64 was notoriously a bad game?
What game?
Superman 64 for the Nintendo 64.
I don't know anything about it.
Well, this is basically Superman 64 underwater is what they're calling it. So it's just bad.
Okay.
It's so bad. Bad games. You know, how could people make games so poorly and sell them for?
It's
right.
not the Lego Aquaman game.
There's a Lego Aquaman game?
Apparently.
You know what else I watched over the weekend?
Oh, it's Lego DC Supervillains Aquaman Pack 2 release.
I knew he was a villain. I knew it. What did you watch this weekend?
I watched on Netflix. There's this. I think it's like a little mini series or whatever, but it's called The $1 Billion Code.
Yeah.
And it's about back when Google came out with Google Earth, like right after the turn of the century, I believe, right about 2004, 2005.
They're the ones that invented the idea that the Earth is round, right?
He's not disagreeing with you.
Yeah,
he's not He's not contenting with what you're saying. So it must be right.
Because up to that point, it was just a theory, and they developed Google Earth to prove it.
The $1 Billion Code. In 1990s Berlin, an artist and a hacker invented a new way to see the world. Years later, they reunite to sue Google for patent infringement on it. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay.
That's kind of scary if you ask me, because just imagine somebody anywhere who invents a piece of code, and then lets it go dead on the vine, doesn't do anything for a while. Then somebody else comes up and it probably independently makes something very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come in and say, hey, that was my idea first, and get $1 billion for it. I mean, maybe. I mean, if you really was your baby and you worked really hard and you patented and did all that.
That's the thing I always say about like writing music is
I don't know where I feel
if you have the idea to do a thing, you better act fast and get it published or whatever, because somebody else is having that same exact thought.
Right.
And there are several times where, there's like songs that I've written that never did anything with it. And then I buy an album from a band that I like, their new album, and it's like, wait, hey, that is like almost entirely exactly the same thing that I have been working on.
Right.
But I can't go to them and be like, hey, I wrote that 4 years ago.
Well, you could,
but I never published it, so I have no way of proving it. But that's why you have to make sure, because people have the same ideas eventually.
It was a Google versus TerraVision.
Mm-hmm.
TerraVision was the German company that came out with Google Earth before Google Earth.
Are they going to sue that guy who got Google Earth on the Nintendo Entertainment System?
But it was interesting. It's pretty interesting, right? 4 episodes, I think it is, something like that. So not real long. If you're nerdy like we are, you'll probably.
Is it a docudrama, a documentary, or totally a drama?
Kind of a docudrama. I mean, you don't have like a narrator. Well, once in a while you'll hear.
Do they go back and forth between the experts explaining stuff to you and dramatization?
No, they don't.
Okay, good. I hate those. I absolutely hate those.
But you'll hear the character kind of say, maybe kind of give a little background or whatever, like he's, like, oh, okay. And then time went on until we were supposed to do our deadline, right?
Yeah. I mean, if that's in service of the story, that's fine. No, the thing that I can't stand is, I think it was National Geographic did that thing a couple of years ago that was the Mission to Mars, where it starts out as a dramatization about colonizing Mars, but then they keep cutting to actual scientists who explain, well, here are the things that we actually are working on. Here are the things that are the problems. And then they go back to this dramatization. And it's like, just pick one.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this. Because you start getting into the flow of, hey, this show could be cool. And then all of a sudden it's like boring. And they did another one that's out right now about the history of food. And I watched like the first episode and it was like about Heinz and Coca-Cola and Kellogg's, how they got started. And they do the same thing where the dramatization stuff is pretty cool. But then all of a sudden it just like hit the brakes, go to scientists or historians or just regular people that are explaining stuff. And it's like, just pick one or the other.
Right.
All right. So should we talk about our titles for this week real fast?
Sure.
Okay, I guess we could talk about titles this week. So far, shadow titles this week are, and this is in the order that came in, Google and Roku, duke it out. Google does some evil. Playing Ski Free via GeForce Now on my Xbox. Insert a better game than
I don't
Ski
know
Free.
what Ski Free is.
Oh, it's a really simple skiing game for Windows 3.1 or even 3.0, and you are a little stick figure going down a hill. Eventually, the Yeti always gets you. No matter what you do.
I wasn't using Windows before.
Ski Free was awesome, man. Automatic automation and annoyingly aggressive and raging chagrin.
If your chagrin is annoyingly aggressive, you should seek a doctor.
So you had some post. I had some post show stuff. What did we have on?
We have Google antitrust or YouTube versus Twitch gaming.
Yeah.
Which would you like to get to first? Which is the lighter topic?
The lighter topic is YouTube gaming. Why? To the question, simply a question of YouTube gaming was a thing. So was Twitch. I know. I don't know which actually came out first, but they were both fairly right at the same time.
YouTube gaming was originally Let's Plays.
Right.
They didn't have the ability to live.
Oh.
That's something that they added recently. And that's where Twitch really ate their breakfast.
Okay.
Because people were playing games, but they were posting it like a normal video. And that's how gaming got really popular on YouTube. So then when Twitch came along and made it easy.
Right.
That's why there was the mass migration. Then Google reacted by adding YouTube or live streaming, but I think it was too little too late.
Right. So my question is, there are lots of streaming platforms, and obviously Facebook is doing well now on it. Why isn't YouTube essentially at least being parity with almost everybody else at a point of parity?
I think it has to do with your use case, because when people think of a platform, they think of the thing that they go there to do.
Right.
Whereas like if people want a recipe or they want to look up like a movie trailer or something like that, you think, oh, hey, let's go to YouTube.
Right.
But I think the issue is that YouTube was out of the gaming for so long that that's not something that people associate with YouTube.
So, I actually think it's the network effect. I think people would go to YouTube, but nobody else goes to YouTube, so you don't get enough people to watch what you're doing on YouTube.
There's that too.
So they go to Twitch, and there's
I'm talking not from a broadcaster or creator standpoint. I'm talking from a user standpoint.
Right.
That YouTube isn't something I associate with gaming. So that's why I don't go there.
Right. Okay.
I would go to Twitch or I would go to whatever.
Okay. So maybe a little bit of both.
Definitely, and that's why the audience isn't there.
Right.
Is because they Twitch is what is like the Google of gaming.
Right.
Okay. Just like there's lots of different, web browsers, but search engines, but you do different search engines for different things. It's like for the longest time, Yahoo was the one that gave me customized snippets of news and stuff, whereas Google is just the one that was just plain and left everything out. And,
Right.
it's depending on what you want to do. But yeah, I think that's the real issue there.
All right. Fair enough. All right. And the other question was this whole horrible information about horrible things that apparently Google's been doing. So apparently, if I can remember the story correctly, there has been some Facebook papers been coming out. A lot of people talking about the bad things Facebook's been doing.
Sure.
And some of that actually also has some implications for Google. Google has been accused in the papers and in these papers and in emails that apparently they have, that Google has been doing bad things in order to try to keep their market share, making things advertisers pre-buying stuff for them on their own, doing deals with like Facebook to basically buy up all the market, so they're the only two advertisers out there because they have the whole. They basically are getting a duopoly together. It feels bad, and part of me is like going, oh man, I hope that this is just wrong and this isn't what's happening. And but at the same time, because I'm a Google guy, and I really hope that they do good for things and people. And I know that they're not there necessarily to be not evil, but they don't.
Well, that was their mission statement.
I know it was, and
hence was.
I know.
Yeah,
and I know technically it still is. It's in a different spot, but everybody actually knows that.
It's just a shifting definition of what exactly is evil.
Exactly, and so I get it, and I understand, and I'm not trying to defend Google here. I am just wishing that this wasn't what's going on. But I think all big corporations eventually do bad things. So that makes me sad.
Well, some people in all big corporations eventually do.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with that at all. I'm pretty much exactly the same opinion, except the fact that I am surprised this is the first we've heard of something so stupid, and B, amazed that people would be this stupid.
Not amazed, unfortunately.
I mean, stupidity on various levels exists, and this sits very near the top of the levels of stupidity. This is the kind of level of stupidity that can get criminal charges against individuals. Right. So that's why it's so incredible, because it's one thing to do something that's maybe a little skeevy but to do something that could get you sent to jail, that could get your company fined. So that skeevy side is things that could get your company fined and get your company in trouble. And then this side of stupid is where you would actually go to jail for being involved in it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there are people there who, the engineers and such that are still very much want to make a product and make things that are good for everybody and trying to help, sure, make a buck. Absolutely. Nobody does saying they don't want to make a buck. Nobody's saying that they don't want to do that. But there's plenty of people there who still want to do it right, so to speak.
The vast majority, I suspect.
Right. I suspect so too. It's just.
Are you still talking about Google?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Google is what they are. I mean, yeah, they sell your data and that kind of thing, and all. But they give a lot of good services in exchange for that, right?
Yeah, and
I mean, maybe they invade in on your privacy there a little bit. You could probably make an argument for that, but
how much are you paying for the service?
Yeah, you're not paying
that. That's what you're paying for the service.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah. So, and you get a choice there, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't think it's bad. Right. I mean, of course, now I don't keep any financial information on Google's services or anything like that. Right. I'm careful out there. Right. But,
you don't have,
but I think it's fine.
You don't have your bank statement alerts going to your Gmail account.
So, I mean, the specific allegations of these about, market manipulation and price fixing and various other antitrust activities those are the things that are pretty problematic. Like I said, those are the kinds of things that people go to jail for, and not just companies getting fined and in trouble. And it's the thing is, the reality that this stuff happens all the time is out there, but it's amazing to me that people are willing to risk that. But they get millions of dollars on the line. The kind of deal that they were talking about with Facebook, not doing that could have significantly reduced stock valuations, and that wipes out massive fortunes for some people.
Yeah. In these situations, my number one fear is about the overreach of the government.
Mm-hmm.
And how much are they gonna get involved with these companies? I am concerned if people are being harmed, actually being harmed, then yes, something needs to be done. But I purposely am not following it, just like I didn't follow the Microsoft antitrust thing, because until everything's said and done and the dust settles, all you're getting is a lot of talking head bias, and there's no way to sift through and find out what is true, what is just allegation, speculation.
Right.
And I would just rather just ignore it for now. I know that there's something going on, and that's what I need to know. And if I need to, I can, look into it. But yeah, but bottom line, if people are being harmed, then okay, something needs to be done. If it's just a matter of people didn't pay attention to the fact that their data was being used, well, that's on you.
Yeah.
I guess they could be opening up fake accounts for people like some banks did, right?
Yeah, look what happened to the banks.
But I've also in the past have said that I think Google is a big enough company that it would be beneficial to break them up, like they did a little bit with the Alphabet company in the past, but that really hasn't been much. But I mean, I don't think it would be a bad thing for them to spin off their mobile, like the, let's say Android stuff into its own company, kind of like Microsoft was forced to with a lot of their stuff, where it's.
What were they forced to break off with?
Weren't they first to spin off, like when they did the gaming, they had to do that as a separate.
I don't know.
So.
I don't remember. It's been so long.
The only thing that they got was they had to extricate IE from the.
Then I'm thinking of a different company. There was somebody that was forced to kind of separate their business, but
AT&T, they had to break up into the Baby Bells, and then it came all together again.
Yeah.
Remember that commercial where they had two guys in a suit, and one guy would say, "Hi, AT&T. Hi, AT&T Wireless."
I don't know.
If you recall Microsoft, I think it was XP. It might have been the one before that, 97 or
98,
2000 or whatever,
ME.
Where they bundled IE with the operating system. Yeah. You couldn't uninstall it because it was also the file browser and stuff.
It always was since then. It always will be. You couldn't undo it. That's what they proved in the trial.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
before I lose connection again, I'm not going to be here next week, guys. Next week, Wednesday, I won't make it.
How dare you?
No. Okay,
It,
that's cool.
It happens to be it happens to be my birthday, and I think my wife and daughter have plans for me.
That's cool.
Your birthday is the 3rd?
It is.
It is my sister's birthday, and the 4th is mine. So cool.
I think we said this a couple of weeks ago.
That's funny. Yeah, I will be here next week, but I won't be here the week of the 15th, so the 17th. Okay. So in 3 weeks.
And the week after next is the one I'm out.
Are we gonna do
the
a Thanksgiving Eve special?
Oh, you know what? I may not make that one either. I'll be flying up to my mother's house on that day.
We'll figure it out.
I mean, it's up to you guys. I typically don't travel till Thursday morning anyway. So if you guys want to do a Thursday evening, we typically do the Black Friday thing.
Wednesday evening?
Yeah, Wednesday night, yeah. Like normal, pre-Black Friday, if you guys want. Otherwise, if we need to take it off, we can take it off.
Yeah, I'll be in Arizona. I might be able to make it.
And historically, we've really just done like anything cool for Black Friday, but Black Friday
this year's going to be really funky. Like, hey,
Black Friday starts in like 2 days at Home Depot. They're doing Black Month.
A lot of them are doing that.
Yeah,
a lot of websites. Amazon's doing Black Friday month, I think,
and a lot of places have been doing that for years.
Yeah, most of the stores are doing really limited hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've been limited all year. Just normally.
But,
yeah.
You know, compared to we'll open at 4:00 on Thanksgiving Day and be open.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine trying to enforce social distancing on Black Friday? Traditional Black Friday with people like busting down the door to
no, not enforcing it. You cannot do that.
I know, but that's I don't know. I happened to walk into a Best Buy a week ago, and they already had all the TVs out in the piles, like basically Black Friday ready to go.
Oh, Macy's already has their Christmas decoration out.
Yeah, a couple of the department stores around here, the Halloween stuff goes up, or the Christmas stuff goes up, and kids aren't even back in school yet. And I always just go, ugh. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how jazzed I am about Black Friday.
For the title, are we going to do...
like Google and Roku duke it out is the current winner. Wabbit magic, so...
And Wabbit can pipe in if he wants.
He's not on.
Oh, did he drop off?
He already abandoned us.
Oh. And he never came back.
Well, he was on. I thought he just muted himself.
He was in the...
No, he was watching. But I think he just never came back after the show.
Okay. Never mind.
Yeah, no. That's fine.
All right. Yeah, let's go with his. I like the Google does some evil. Maybe we use that in the future when they actually get caught for sure, instead of just allegations. Or high probability caught. I would say these allegations are believable, but not.
Yeah, I think somebody's fishing.
Defined enough.
I feel like a lot of these allegations, unfortunately, I'm going to say this, not ironically, are completely legal. Because it's cornering markets, unfortunately, is not illegal. And
what are the allegations? I hadn't heard this.
If you read the way that the allegation is that they did price fixing and various other antitrust activity with Facebook. So the specific allegation that I saw that I was referring to that would have been illegal is they were selling ads on auction for Google ads and Facebook ads, and they were setting the price behind the scenes at what they would sell at and what percentage would go to each company.
Right.
And so the auction was basically a total sham, and it was fixed pricing for those two organizations.
Yep.
And
Google's
that
been
would be the definition of price fixing, which is antitrust and
right.
illegal, part of the Sherman Act. So
that's true.
And that's what I was referring to, that the people that actually negotiated that, they would likely go to jail, because that is criminal behavior.
Right.
Not just, plus the company would get huge fines and be subject to monopoly.
I had rather see the bank executives go to jail for causing the 2008 financial collapse.
I agree, but that's not going to happen.
There's all kinds of things that people should go to jail for, but the reality is, most of the time, that's what I was indicating is, most of the time you're protected by the corporate entity being a distinction from the employees and the owners.
Right.
And so behavior done unethically that causes damage to other people outside of the organization by the organization, you usually can't be held criminally liable for that unless you are actively and knowingly engaged in a criminal behavior, right? So
you remember Washington Mutual?
Yeah.
Yes, I do remember Washington Mutual. It was my bank.
First bank.
Keyword was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was a stockholder.
No, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that sucks. I had a bank, I banked with them, but I fortunately didn't have over my $250,000 insured limit.
Wow.
When I was in high school, I had like $30 with them.
Yeah, whatever you had with them, that was insured, but my stocks was not.
No.
And nobody went to jail over that.
Right. Yeah, I think that there was a tremendous amount of behavior that was obviously and clearly unethical and immoral, but unfortunately, in most cases, wasn't actual criminal behavior, even though it should have been. It, like, for all intents and purposes, it should be. I mean, people knew they were doing things that would put other people's money at risk.
And when you're talking like from the housing market and the bad loans and stuff like that, that was a case where they had a directive from the government: you better make these loans,
right,
or else. That was Clinton's gift on his way out.
Yeah.
And I will say, in 2000 when they implemented that, even the New York Slimes said, this is the stupidest thing, and in 10 years nobody's going to pay them and everything's going to collapse. And the fact that the New York Times was willing to criticize a sitting Democrat shows just how bad,
right?
Because they will never go there.
But the thing is that, like, it's not that simple though, because
I'm just saying that's what opened the door. That's what opened the door.
Clinton's thing opened the door for
the Republicans were in power. I didn't see them stopping it either.
No.
Right.
But that's what I was saying.
I'm not blaming anybody particularly.
I'm just saying that's where the opened the door to said, hey, you need to do this. And it's like, well, in order to do this, and we need to do this, and we need to do this. okay, well, we'll just keep doing this. And we found a way to make money off of it. So, okay, we're not going to fight it.
Clinton passed a series of laws that that basically was an equity-based law. So they were saying you need to make more loans to poor and minority individuals in these types of places. And so the banks were having to make loans that they normally wouldn't have made.
Yeah, that they knew were going to be bad.
They had it too high a risk. But that didn't cause the crisis.
No, I'm saying that opened the door and
opened the door to what was the subprime mortgage lending.
Well, the banks didn't care because they were selling, mortgage-backed securities overseas, and that mitigated all their risk. They were just passing their risk along overseas.
Yeah. Well, what they did was the way that they restructured those loans was what was really, that was the behavior that should have been criminal.
Yes.
Wasn't, because they knowingly repackaged loans in a way that they knew unquestionably were going to fail. Like there was like an almost 100% chance that these mortgage-backed securities would go to zero value, that they would fail. And they sold them repackaged in a way that you couldn't see or understand the risk involved. And so they were selling absolute garbage and hiding it in packaging that made it look good.
Yeah.
And so that's what built up the subprime mortgage crisis. And so obviously when banks and retirement funds and things like that had large amounts of those securities, when those securities started failing, everything started to fail. And then you got things like Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns, where their money market funds went under $1 in value, and that was really the thing that killed the market, killed the banks.
Yep,
lost Jimmy, but it was crazy. It was an interesting time to be working at a money management analytics
at a money
company.
factory.
Yeah. I started in 2008. I believe it was 2008. I started working at a company where what we did for a living was we did analytics and reporting and compliance assessments on investment portfolios for corporations.
Yeah.
And
let me ask, was your boiler room actually in a boiler room?
Yeah, I wish. They did have an advisory arm where they did wealth management, but I didn't work with those guys really at all. I just did the analytics side of things. And that was one of those things that really made a big difference for us, because with our analytics stuff, they were seeing risk and out of compliance that before they were failing. And so we saved a lot of our clients hundreds of millions of dollars of losses in that by helping identify bad investments that their asset managers were doing that were with things like subprime mortgages that they weren't supposed to be investing in. That was the biggest thing that I did while I was there, was doing, even though it wasn't really my job, I spent a huge amount of time analyzing various types of mortgage-backed securities and stuff to determine what the different data points on them were, weighted average life and true yield and stuff like that.
Yep. It was the time of free money for a lot of people.
Yeah. Hey guys, I'm out of here.
Yep, me too. I'm going to shut this down. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us.